So, good afternoon, everybody. You've been seeing a lot of me, hopefully not too much this week, but you've been meeting some absolutely fantastic people. Today, we have the lovely, I just need a little thing distracting me on the computer. Down, get down. Okay. Today, we have a lady who I've only just met, because I like to discover the guests along with you, along with the viewers. Yeah. But I can tell just within like seconds of speaking to her that she has got one of the biggest hearts in humanity. I don't know what I got I got an insight on that. I don't know. Who knows? But the lovely Rebekah Saltzman. Please, Rebekah, introduce yourself, and then we'll get into today's session.
Excellent. Hi, everybody. I am Rebekah Saltzman. I'm a personal organization expert. I help people tidy their homes and their businesses. My main goal is to teach everybody how to automate, streamline, so they have more time to do the things they love with the people that they love.
Yeah, that's cool. So I like the way you started with a businessy thing, and then you went into the end bit, the people that they love, because that's what today's all about.
Yeah.
It's about helping. So I put a shout out on some groups that I'm in, because I'm aware of this challenge of kids going back to school after COVID, and what can we do to help parents through this time, which the media insisting that it's very tricky. There are different levels of trickiness, and
right.
we're trying to smooth everybody into this stuff as we can. So I have, other than asking Rebekah what she'd like to share, I have no agenda. We want to keep. We've been doing a few of these chats and keep it really open, because different things are going to appeal to different people, and different tips and insights. Everybody's after the strategies. I think sometimes we need some insights before we do the strategies, and sometimes we just need the strategies. Sometimes we just need insights. It's a bit of both. So what would you like to share with our darling viewers?
So I assume, are all of your viewers in the UK?
We have most of them in the UK, but we have some from outside. We have had guests on from elsewhere in the States. We've had some Canadians, we've had some Australians, and we've had people in the UK. So yeah.
Well, I actually live in Israel, even though I'm American by birth. And what I have found, just between what I see, like from my nieces and my nephew and my friends' kids, and my own kids here in Israel, is that everybody's back to school situation is different. And with my kids, for example, my oldest one is going to school every day. With my younger kids, they're in capsules. So they are going some days, but not others. Okay. So, and what I have found is that everybody just doesn't sort of know everything that's happening all the time, because the schedules are very like, well, it depends on the numbers kind of thing. And so what I found is that in order to be organized and to help with time management, the first thing is, if your kids are still at home for whatever reason and you have to do things, work or just get things done in the house, whatever it is, I have found that when you can take the time to fill up your kids' cups, that gets you the most time in the long run. So what I mean by that is that if you take the time to give your kids what they need up front, before there's a problem arises. So if you say, okay, I have a meeting in an hour and you're home, I'm going to spend an hour with you right now. I'm going to make sure you're fed. I'm going to make sure you had something to drink. I'm going to make sure your body's taken care of. I'm going to make sure I gave you some FaceTime. And then that's going to guarantee you time afterwards, because what it does is it makes your kids feel like happy and secure. And from a time management perspective, that's great, because you need that time to have to yourself to get whatever you need to get done. If your kids are going back to school, I still think a lot of them are feeling like, I know my daughter feels like really, really worried about coronavirus, and doing that same FaceTime with her makes her feel better. And so even from a not time management perspective, just filling up their cup, letting them know that you're hearing them, being understanding to their anxiety, I have just found is immensely helpful for them.
Yeah.
From an organizational perspective, I think that the best thing you can do to help your kids is arm them with the supplies they need so that they're not caught off guard. So for example, whatever your school requires, obviously you should make sure you have enough of those supplies in their backpacks so that they feel comfortable and they don't feel like, oh no, I forgot something. But also that like whatever makes them feel comfortable. Okay. So organize yourself so you can get whether it's extra masks or extra hand sanitizers or wipes to clean their desk or gloves or whatever is going to make them feel safe. Make sure you've organized yourself so that you can organize them.
I think that's fantastic. And I love the way that you're bringing a kind of a professional, as in like a businessy context, an organizational perspective into the parenting realm, because I guess that's your gift, isn't it? The kind of the organizational stuff, right. And bring that together with the mums, because you are like a organization ninja, as you introduced yourself, but it's just taking a little bit of time to do the preparation, as you say, get the logistics in place, and it makes perfect sense. And I've loved all the conversations I've had this week, and everybody's brought what I was hoping to bring, like a different flavor. So you said that every child is different, every school is different, and it's all different. And every guest that we've had on this week has brought a different perspective.
Oh, that's so good.
So we're bringing the logistics ninja from Israel to there, yeah. So, and what seems like may seem as like an administrative thing is actually about the time that you spend and the quality of the time that you spend with your children. So so the time with them, so that they feel heard.
Exactly.
And the thing. So, can I ask you this? One of the things that's been playing in my mind for a couple of weeks is the fact that a lot of us think that we need the worry to do the behaviour. Do you see what I mean?
Okay.
There's sort of culturally here in the UK, maybe not in Israel or the States, I'm not sure, but there's this idea that we need to be worried, because if we're not worried, then we won't take the action. Do you see what I mean? We need to, but they're two different things to me.
Right.
Getting the hand sanitizer.
Right.
You don't need. You just need to. If we can reduce it down to the logistics, it's about the hand sanitizer. It's about washing the hands, and it's about. And if we separate out the logistics from the emotion that behind it, we're supposed to worry. We're supposed to think that, well, I need to worry about. Well, no, if we calm it down and we just do what we need to do without the kind of the drama around it.
Right.
I thought that, given what you've been talking about, that might be an interesting angle to.
Right. So, I mean, I think a lot of what we do as parents, we pass on to our kids. So if we're feeling anxious, I think that sometimes our kids receive that message and they feel anxious too. Like if you start yelling at your kid, they're going to yell back at you, right? So like they are just reflections of us. They're our mirrors. And so if you feel anxious, that's going to increase their anxiety. But there's a difference between teaching them to be prepared and increasing their anxiety. So for example, if you say the school requires us to give you X, Y, and Z, I just want you to know I filled your backpack. It's not that I'm so worried about it, but these are the rules, and I want you to be prepared. Then you are giving them the gift of understanding organization, understanding preparation, understanding following the rules, and you're minimizing the anxiety because you're actually giving them something tangible to hold on to that's replacing the anxiety.
Yeah.
Or not tangible, but some other emotion that can replace the anxiety. And I think most of our kids, at least mine anyways, are already anxious enough. We don't need to make them more anxious.
No. So you're taking the sting out of the tail, really.
Yeah.
Removing some of the drama.
I think, like, our job as parents is to make our kids ready for the real world. And the real world does have anxiety in it. And I'm not saying that, catching the virus or being exposed to it is not scary and anxiety causing, but while we can discuss that with our kids, and we should discuss it with our kids, we should do whatever we can to help them always see the other side of the other emotions. Like, it's okay to feel scared, worried, whatever. But on the other hand, we still have to go around about living our lives. And so therefore, we're going to do what we can to protect ourselves and what we can to protect other people. And we're going to follow the rules.
Yeah, fantastic. The mirror thing is important. I think it works both ways as well. That the family is a living organism, isn't it?
Right.
We are. How we are affects them, their kids, and how their kids are affects us. So one of the things, but a lot of the parents I speak to kind of, we all struggle to see our own strengths, and we struggle to see our own weaknesses as human beings. It seems to be one of those things. So a lot of parents will come to me and they're talking about their children's confidence or their anxiety or these sorts of different things, but they don't actually see it in themselves. So they're not as self-aware as you, right? And then if you go anywhere near that, with the fact that they may be struggling a little bit, then they kind of back off. And I do the same too. So if my wife asks me what's wrong, about something, say some logistical issues around the house, with the fact that I'm working and she's retired now. We did have one big, we had a big challenge early on in COVID with, me working at the kitchen table and her wanting to listen to our beloved Prime Minister on her thing. And I was trying to concentrate on something and it just didn't work. So I had a bit of a flip out on that. But it was down to me. I could, not at the time, but an hour or so later, I could see that it was down to me.
Right.
So if we are worried about our own anxiety or somebody points this out, so somebody says to him, I saw this guy Simon and this lady from Israel called Rebekah on the video today. This is a really long question, isn't it? I wish I'd get straight to the point. Let me think. How would I get to the point on this? So a mum hears you and she says, oh no, my anxiety is rubbing off. My anxiety is rubbing off on my children. And then they start beating themselves up about their anxiety and they're worried about their worrying rubbing off on their kids. What would you say to that mum?
Well, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, social worker, any of those things, although sometimes in my role as an organizer, I sometimes function as that. People, I'm in their houses and I see all their personal stuff and then it just all sort of comes out. Right. But I think if you are feeling that your anxiety or your feelings in general are getting a hold of you, then you have to find a way to manage them. I'll give you an example. A lot of my clients have ADHD, and some of their kids have that also. And they feel like, well, how can I possibly teach my kid how to be organized when I myself struggle with organization, right? And I think that when you can show your kids that you're getting a handle on your feelings, when you can say like, okay, I know I have this problem. And when you're open and honest and upfront about your problem with your kids, like, I know that this is a problem. I'm taking the steps. The reason why I hired Rebekah is because she is going to help me with this problem that I'm having. And that's going to be able to make me help you better. Okay. And when you take the steps to get the tools that you need to resolve the issues you have, it makes everybody better, specifically for moms, because I think like moms do set a lot of the household tone, but also for dads. If dads have an issue, like when they can work it out and when they can resolve it and get in touch with it, I think it makes everybody happier.
Okay. I think that's
Did
brilliant.
I answer your question?
Yeah. And I've come up with my own idea as well, really, is that my own idea. So if you're worried, if you are, dear viewer, if you are worried, I'm looking at you, Rebekah, but I'm just, pretending that you're the viewer. So if, dear viewer, you are worried and you're worried about your anxiety rubbing off on your kids, cut yourself some slack.
100%.
Cut yourself some slack. We all, I say this a lot because it's true, right? A generation ago, here in the UK, if you told people you heard voices in your head, you got locked up. You were sectioned. You were put in mental institutions.
It's true. It's true.
Hearing voices in your head, right? We all have a voice in our head that says that we are not a good enough mum, dad, decluttering, an organizational specialist, children's happiness expert, brother, sister, mother, daughter, son, brother-in-law, nephew, something. We all have that voice in our head telling us that we're not enough, and we all have that voice that catastrophizes and that says, "Oh no, what if I'm worried? I'm now worried about worrying, and Simon's told me that I shouldn't. And Rebekah's told me not to worry about worrying because that's going to." The voice in our head is a liar. It tells lies.
It does.
It tells lies. And there's all sorts of people out there that say, well, yes, you need to replace the negative thought in your head. Well, yes, you can try that by all means. By all means. I think the only thing that I've found is ignoring it. Because if you continue to argue with it, then
you don't have to argue with it. You could just acknowledge it. I hear you. I hear you, voice. I acknowledge you. I don't believe you. I'm going to keep on going.
Yeah.
That's the way I like to. It's hard. It's really hard to say that to that voice. It's really hard to be like, go away. But when you sort of like say, yes, it's true. Sometimes I feel that way, but I'm going to take steps to improve myself. And here's what I'm going to do. It's easy to say, I'm on the road to improving myself. And I'm all about like the self-improvement, and I'm always trying to improve myself. And sometimes I succeed at it and sometimes I don't succeed at it. But what I do know is that because I'm always trying, I can say, when I hear that voice, I can say, I'm trying, so go away.
Go away, yeah. Do you talk about that stuff with your kids? You talk about this stuff with your kids?
It hasn't really come. I mean, I have teenage. My youngest two are going to be 12 in a few days, and my oldest one is 13. And it's definitely coming up where my oldest feels like sometimes he's not smart enough, or or he's just downright dumb. And sometimes he feels like he's too lazy or whatever it is. And he has expressed these feelings to me. But I think that a lot of, not all of it, but some of these feelings come from outside sources. So I try to be extra super careful what I say to my kids, because you don't want to mistakenly say something to your kids that makes them feel that that's the truth about them. But also, like, sometimes it comes from outside sources, like, oh, you're so fat, or whatever it is. And like, then they feel self-conscious about it. And they're like, well, maybe I am. And then I always say to them, I'm like, though, how much you weigh or how smart you are is not the measure of what kind of person you are. And people are not, that's not the thing that people are going to remember about you. And like, obviously, especially with teenagers, they don't know how to, they don't know how to acknowledge these feelings and move forward. But what they need to know is that they can. Yeah. And it's our job to teach them that.
Yeah. I was just thinking about what you were saying earlier on about vulnerability and stuff, and whether you ever talk about the voice in your head. So I know for me, when somebody else kind of, it's me too, and it's like, oh, that's a relief. It's not just me that's the number. You know,
I don't think I'm crazy, but I do think that, like, I do think
in a good way, utter in a good way.
Sorry? You cut out for just a minute.
Sorry?
You cut out for just a minute. I didn't hear you.
I mean crazy in a good way.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't think, like, I don't think that what I experienced is a problem. I feel like it's normal. And I think that letting our kids know that this is normal.
Yes.
And that everybody experiences it is actually helpful to them. I think a lot of parents, I had an expert in my Facebook group on last week. We were talking about sexual health with kids. And what my biggest takeaway from that interview was that when we give kids the language to talk about, if we're open with them and we give them the language to talk about whatever it is that's on their minds, we are empowering them to come to us and ask us what we need to, we are the ones who should be saying to them, like we're the parents, so we should be telling them things, not other people, right? And when we give them the language and the tools to have these discussions with us, we're not only improving our relationships with them, we're empowering them to learn how to move past the voices in the head, the feelings that they're having, and make strides to being their best selves.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I think that would be a really good place to bring it to a close, because that's a really nice, big, positive, forward-thinking place to get to. So, I've got your. If people want to get in touch with you, I'm just going to pop in the link into the chat box.
Excellent, thank you.
So, does it work? Oh, there you are. And what is the? Can you explain to me the website name?
Oh, sure. Balagan is the Hebrew word for chaos or mess or disorder. And so balagan, be gone, just means that I'm going to take away your mess, your chaos, your disorder, wherever that's coming from.
Yeah. I can see a lot of people needing that.
A lot of people need it. A lot of people are embarrassed that they need it.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, it's no different than if you would go to the doctor for being sick, or if you would hire a nutritionist to help you eat healthier, or if you get a personal trainer to help you exercise. Yeah. It's someone to keep you accountable and keep you moving forward in a healthy direction to be your best you.
I love it. I love it. Lovely to speak to you. And,
nice to see you, Simon.
And hopefully we'll connect again soon.
Excellent. Thank you.
Bye-bye, viewers. Petrana. Bye-bye.